Hi, everyone. Welcome. Sorry about that. My computer was rebooting. And also, both Hector and I thought that I thought it was going to be EST. Hector thought it was going to be 1 hour ahead. So he's just getting all set up, but he'll be here momentarily. But hi, guys. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. What is it? Humpback Wednesdays? Hi, Flex. We got Vicente in the building. What's going on, buddy? Man, what a hectic week. Oh, and we got him in the building already. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm sorry we got our wires crossed.
You're all good. I like the jacket.
Well, thank you. You asked for flair, and I thought I'd bring some flair.
Funny, I just did like a reel because I have like over 50 Star Wars jackets. So I was trying to do like jacket outfits of the day, but the reel wasn't long enough to like showcase all 50 of them.
Nice. I have a couple. I have a couple of Star Wars jackets, but it's a little bit hot here in the Midwest right now. So this is the lightest I can do without sweating up a storm on your show.
Yeah. No, it's the same. I live in Florida and I don't know why I have such an obscene collection of jackets. It makes no sense. I can't wear them in Florida.
All right. So what's up? You know what? I won't take the lead. You go.
No, what's up? How are you? I
I'm
think
good.
this is like our first time ever like interacting like this.
This is the first time we ever interact like this, and so cool. Appetite for collectibles. I love the Hoth background. That's so cool.
That's why I asked you what was your favorite planet or
Oh, I
Luke
see. Very.
Skywalker shirt for
Oh,
you.
thank you. That's so. I didn't know why you were asking me. That's so cool. What are people watching us right now? Should I say hello? Hello, people.
Yeah, we've got people in the chat. We've got Flex is saying, let's go.
Elijah Flex. I know him. I don't know Vicente, but I like his name. It sounds Mexican.
Hector, my man, what's up, brother?
Going, Elijah. Jack Wagner. How's it going, Jack? Yes, I'm outside of my element. Nilda, you should know I'm very myopic with my world. I exist only in Imperial Walker Inc., and I don't know what's going on outside of that world. Nothing. I mean, so people mention conventions, and I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Or like, I didn't even know you had a show, so that's so cool.
Yeah, so I've been doing YouTube since the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was in a Star Wars channel with my best friend. And then I decided, like, during COVID, my grandfather had passed away, and I wanted to, like, I guess,
I'm so sorry.
thank you. I wanted to channel, I guess, like, my grief. And I was like sitting one day in my collectible room and I was listening to Guns N' Roses, and that's where the name of my channel comes from.
That's awesome. Appetite for destruction into
Yeah.
collectibles. I like it.
So I decided to do a YouTube channel. In the beginning, I was so nervous being in front of the camera that I was interviewing people who live in South Florida who had crazy collections that were too afraid, I guess, to showcase them. So some of them ended up being like Star Wars, He-Man, Godzilla, Garbage Pail Kids, pinball
Garbage Pail
machines.
Kids. I like that.
Yeah, the Garbage Pail Kids one was actually pretty cool. This woman had a downstairs room that her father built, and it was just all Garbage Pail Kids signs, cards, posters, just collectibles alone. And I didn't think that there was so many out there, but it was cool to see.
That's awesome. Well, thank
Yeah.
you for having me on. I really, really appreciate this. This was a lot of fun.
Well, like Vicente said here, you are the man that is responsible for my tears. Happy tears. Happy tears.
I have made a lot of women cry. I'm glad to hear you're one of the ones I've made cry happy tears.
Yes, you've made me cry happy tears twice.
All right, that's awesome. You should probably provide some context for those who don't know what's going on.
So Hector is basically he owns a Facebook group page called Imperial Walker Inc. And I actually blame you for my obsession with signature collecting. Because once I became part of your Facebook group page, and I think the first signature I got with you guys was the custom Funko box from Don B's. As soon as I got that, I just became obsessed with your page and was constantly like getting signatures. and now going to conventions, obtaining signatures from different celebrities. So, you're kind of the reason why I have an obsession.
Well, I'm glad I was the gateway drug for you to, descend into this madness. I really appreciate it.
Uh,
I that's really gratifying to hear. And those Don B's bobbleheads were really popular. He's a fantastic guy, and I'm just glad uh, you found something you're passionate about, because once you go down the rabbit hole of Star Wars autograph collecting, you can go down so many paths. And my focus is very niche. It's the behind the scenes people only,
mhm.
and not there's a very large population of Star Wars autograph collectors, but within that realm, a very small percentage of people that look at the behind the scenes folks. And I'm unbelievably, undyingly, unyieldingly passionate about the behind the scenes folks. I've always found their story as compelling as what wound up on the screen.
Yeah. And
These were folks that, particularly the original trilogy, there was no internet, there was no roadmap for how to make a movie like this, and they brought together these kind of counterculture hippie folks that all knew how to do something, and that alchemy somehow generated these films we love to this day. 50 years on, we're still discovering things about how they were made and the people that helped make them, and that's what I try to bring to you guys as collectors.
And you know what? I actually agree with what you said with the behind the scenes. I feel like they have more of a perspective of what Star Wars and the essence of it really is, as opposed to, you're hearing what the actors are saying. These guys were actually back there. They were making the props, getting to talk to like Roger Christian, Dennis Hall, like just getting to talk to some of these guys and listening to their stories and like having to listen to like some of the behind the scenes that they did. It's really intriguing.
Sure, and I don't want to minimize the actors. I collect the actor autographs as well. The actors, though, generally tended to focus on their part and what they were contributing,
Yeah.
whereas behind the scenes folks created the worlds within which these people played. Without these guys, Harrison Ford looks silly sitting inside a this wood cockpit. It doesn't look like he's doing something cool. They built the spaceships. They built the universe that these actors played in. They built the sandbox, and that's what I'm excited about sharing with everybody.
Yeah. Well, let's get started. I want to get to know Hector Cruz. How, when did you become a Star Wars fan? I figured you probably saw the movies when you were younger.
Yeah, I was. I'm 52. I saw them first run. Believe it or not, I still have a very vivid memory of my parents taking me to see the original Star Wars film. They probably didn't take me opening weekend because that wasn't quite a thing yet. Back in 1977, films were in theaters the entire summer into the
Hmm.
fall. It wasn't just a 6 week period and then they went away. My parents took me at some point during that run. I was only three and a half during that summer, 3 and 3/4. And I distinctly remember the imagery of Darth Vader coming into the blockade runner. I remember Princess Leia and her buns of hair. And I remember the final trench run. Those are the images that kind of seared themselves into my head. But that's not really when the fandom began. I was too young for it to begin developing. It was really when The Empire Strikes Back was released in 1980, and now I was 6 going on 7, that I really I think, like most people, that's when I really became a huge fan. And the action figures were a big deal. My father was a blue collar worker, so I couldn't get any of the big vehicles. But from the moment I saw the Imperial walkers in the Empire Strikes Back, my mind was blown, and it remains blown to this day what they were able to accomplish. The leap from the visual effects in Star Wars to the Empire Strikes Back is so geometrically explosive. It's ridiculous how far ahead a jump it was. And
Hmm.
those walkers, there's just something about them that just absolutely branded themselves onto my cerebral cortex. And I that's why I named my group what I did, because I love them so much. And the people that worked on them represent all of the different disciplines that it takes to make a film of this magnitude. So it's a good physical totem of what my group does, and what kind of people I focus on getting for collectors.
I like that. Yeah, I when I was a kid, I got introduced to A New Hope, but I was too young to really understand it, and plus my first language wasn't English. So
Was it
as
Spanish?
yeah, I'm Cuban and Puerto Rican, but I grew up in like a very strict Cuban home where like my grandparents were like, we're only speaking Spanish in the house. There's no English whatsoever. And I kind of miss that because as I got older, I guess I stopped speaking Spanish as much. And now that I'm in the medical field, I have to deal with a lot of Hispanic patients. So it's been getting me now to practice and appreciate more my culture.
Sure. No, totally get it. Now, you look like you're 21 at most.
Oh,
Is
I
that right?
wish. I wish.
No, I'm not even exaggerating. You look incredibly young. So, isn't it
Thank
past
you.
your time?
Nah,
Uh,
I'm 38. I'm actually going to be 39 this year.
no. So then,
Yeah.
technically, the prequel trilogy is really your Star Wars. Is that a fair statement or no?
Yes. So I
Okay.
was in middle school going into high school when the prequels came out. I was a senior in high school when Revenge of the Sith came out. So I, as many other, like mutual friends of mine, they remember, going to the theaters when the original trilogy came out. For me, I remember going to the theaters when the prequels came out, getting tickets. I still have my ticket stub for Attack of the Clones. My friends in high school making fun of me because they're like, what the hell is Star Wars? And I was like, dude, just come. You're going to like it. I was like, I've loved this since I was a kid. Like, you guys are going to have fun. And yeah, just like the same feeling that everyone gets, the first time ever seeing the films. Yes, I grew up with watching the original trilogy, but the prequels is what made my fandom hyping even more.
The prequels are your jam. I know this is supposed to be you interviewing me, but I want to get to know you too. So
Yeah, we're interviewing
you
each other.
you got into Star Wars because not well you the prequels were your jam. That's cool. Were you always as passionate about it collecting as you are now, or did
Yeah.
that go? Was that did that come and go?
So when I grew up, I was raised by my single mother and with my grandparents. So I basically my mom and my grandparents like to spoil me, so they always bought a whole bunch of toys for me. So I grew up with every fandom. I was a huge Star Wars fan. I was a massive Turtle fan. My brother is a huge He-Man collector. So
Nice.
yeah, so my parents were like hippie, Hispanic uh parents. They had strict rules, but mostly it was my grandparents. But my mom, she allowed me to get away with murder, and sometimes I wish she didn't. But yeah, I had everything. Super Nintendo, I played all the games. I was a big Disney person. So the passion for collecting has always been there, and I
What
it just
are
never
you near?
left.
Are you near the Disney parks there, wherever you are?
I'm about 2 hours away from
Oh,
Disney.
very nice, very nice. So you get to scratch the itch very often, I would imagine.
Yeah, which was funny. Today at work, they were planning ahead about like what we're doing for the holidays and the time off, and they were saying that we were closed on certain days. So I kind of looked at one of my coworkers and I was like, "Well, I was like, my birthday this year lands on Black Friday." I said I'm gonna hang out with my family on Thanksgiving, and then I'm gonna go and abandon them on Friday morning and go drive to Disney and go hang out at Hollywood Studios and just go act like a child. I've been doing that now for like the past 4 years. I've been going to Disney every year for my birthday, going to Hollywood Studios and just having fun, nerding out, drinking the blue milk, and just being a kid for a day.
That's great. That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun. What autographs aside, what would you consider as the grail in your collection, that your like marquee piece in your personal collection,
Ugh.
excluding autographs?
I, for me, I think it was the photo that I have with Mark Hamill
Oh,
because
nice.
my mom, I wanted to meet him for a very long time, and my mother surprised me for my birthday and sent me she paid for the whole thing. I didn't even know that this was happening. I kept telling her, I was like, hey, I really want to meet Mark Hamill. It sucks. He's going to be in San Francisco the weekend of my birthday. I'm not going to abandon you guys on Thanksgiving. Come to find out, I don't know who taught my mom how to do this online, but she booked the flight, got the tickets for what is it, Fan Expo Anna
Yeah.
or Fan Expo San Francisco, got the hotel, and got the photo op with Mark Hamill. And
Impressive.
yeah, and the cool thing was I had a custom made shirt that I made saying like I flew, I think it was like 5,000 miles to meet Mark Hamill on my birthday.
I think I saw that photo on social media, and I was at that show with my son.
Really?
Yeah, we hadn't met yet. That's so cool. And I remember seeing you in that shirt. That's so cool.
Yeah, well, the cool thing was, I had tagged Mark for a while on Instagram saying that. And when I got to meet Mark, he actually, as soon as he saw the shirt, he was like, "You're the girl." And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "Happy birthday." He was like, "There's no way it's your birthday." And I was like, "Yeah." And, Fan Expo was so nice. They reposted that photo on the Fan Expo
I
page.
remember seeing it. You're famous. Look at that.
But I think the one thing that made it so memorable for me, and it was my friends who actually messaged me because I was passed out and I couldn't understand why was my phone going off. The actual time frame of my birthday, Mark had reposted our photo and then wished me a happy birthday. But the way he did it was very cute. He was like, "Happy birthday, Nilda from MAR," and then he put a camel emoji.
Camel, Mark, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And honestly, as much as every other, like signatures or just meeting some celebrities, I don't think that will ever top anything, especially because it came from my mom. And my mom's the reason why I love Star Wars so much. So it was like, even though she didn't go with me, it was the essence of her doing it and being a part of that.
Of
It just
course.
made it like the greatest day ever.
Absolutely. No, and we have it. We're very lucky and fortunate in our fandom for Star Wars in that the majority of the actors are warm and accessible and approachable. There's exceptions to everything, but if you look at some other genres like Star Trek, some of their main kind of headline people, the photos that you get with them aren't very exciting. They're kind of distant, and Mark's all
Yeah.
up on you, touching you, hugging you,
Yeah.
making
That
every
photo with
photo look
Mark,
fantastic. Yeah.
he was all up on me. He gave me the biggest hug ever. And when he first said hi, he did hug me initially. And then I was like, "Oh my God, I can cry." He's like, "Don't cry." He's like, "We're taking a photo first." And we took the photo, and you can see in my eyes, like my eyes were glaring. And as soon as we walked, like as soon as the photo was done, I looked at him and I hugged him again. And I was like, "Thank you so much for the greatest birthday." And he was like, "Oh, please go walk over there." He's like, "I need Chelsea to take a photo of your shirt." And I ended up finding out Chelsea was his daughter.
Right. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And like it was so cute because like people at the con the next day, because I guess Fan Expo had posted that, people recognized me and they were like, "Happy birthday." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." I was like, I totally forgot it was on the Fan Expo thing.
You were the hit of the show. I remember very clearly that you were everywhere that weekend in terms of the social media. That's awesome.
Tell me how awesome that show was.
That was a great show.
It
We
was
were
a
only there for
great
the Saturday, but
show.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I got there. I got there literally. I left my family on Thanksgiving. My flight was a red eye on Friday morning. I think my flight was like at 6. And I had to fly from Florida to Texas, Texas to California. And as soon as I got to the hotel, I literally changed shirts and went immediately to Fan Expo. But yeah, they had such an amazing lineup of
They
just
did. So they
Star
had
Wars.
the Star Wars lineup was great, but their two headliners, Ewan McGregor and Mark Hamill at the same time. That was
Yeah.
pretty unreal weekend.
Yeah, and I got to meet Ewan that weekend too. He was so nice.
So Scottishly nice.
Yes, very Scottishly nice.
Very turning everything into an adverb. That's what I like to do. That's awesome. So, are we talking your collection is like in a vault? Do you have it displayed? Are you one of those people that opens action figures? Do you keep in the box? What kind of collector are you?
I'm kind of a mix of I'm a mixture of both. I like to open up my toys. I actually like the smell of toys.
I get
Uh
that. I
yeah.
agree. Yeah,
Sometimes I've gone like toy hunting. I've done like garage sales, and sometimes I've been lucky enough to find some vintage Star Wars toys. And I
sure.
sometimes like to smell them. It sounds really weird.
I totally get it. The plastic can be intoxicating. I love it.
Yeah, if they made
But
a
then again,
candle of
I'm
just
one of those people that
plastic.
likes the smell of gasoline. I'll stand at a gas station
Yes.
I like the smell of gasoline. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I like this. I also like the smell of bacon. I was talking about it the other day that I wish they made a scented candle of just bacon grease.
And that would be good. I would buy into that company.
But I would be hungry all the time then.
All right, sorry, I've derailed you massively. So let me know what you want to ask me, if anything.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna thank Chris really quick. He gave us $10 for first blue milk for my birthday. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
We've got due back delivery saying evening, everyone.
I do back deliveries.
Yeah, he's a great artist. He draws really well.
So cool.
All right, so I gotta ask you because you already answered it for me. Your favorite character is Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, Luke
Why?
Skywalker, hands down. I know the growing up, the big playground debate was: are you a Luke guy, a Han guy? I was always Luke. I think you asked me what my favorite scene was. It's also with Luke Skywalker. It's when he runs underneath again the Imperial Walker, which is this physical manifestation of the Empire, unstoppable, implacable, and unbeatable. And here he comes in, the representation of the hero's journey underneath, against all odds, goes underneath, finds a vulnerability, and knocks that thing down on his own. And that I still get chills watching that scene when I see it. So Luke Skywalker for me has always been one of the greatest cinematic characters ever created.
Oh yeah,
and couldn't have been a better person to embody him in Mark Hamill, and he's been such a great ambassador for Star Wars in general. So Luke Skywalker, and very closely behind Han Solo. I love me some Han Solo. How about you? Who's your favorite character?
I'm a mixture. So I love Luke Skywalker. I'm a huge Ahsoka collector. I
Nice.
love that character. To the point that I have the voice actress and Rosario Dawson's signatures tattooed on me.
Whoa, really? Now that's taking this autograph collecting to the next level. You're actually emblazoning it on your skin. Where, if you don't mind my asking, if I can even ask where it is?
Oh, I have them on my left leg. So I have Ahsoka's silhouette. Ashley signed that. And then I have Rosario's. I have the older version of Ahsoka, her lightsabers. Rosario signed those.
So walk me through it. Do you like get taken up to the table with a dolly and you put your feet up on the table? Well, how did this happen?
No, so actually Flex was there when I got the Ashley signature. I got very fortunate that a girl that I went to high school with was actually the handler for Ashley at MegaCon. And I sent Jackie a message and I was like, hey, I'm starting to do my Ahsoka tattoos. I really would love Ashley to sign my leg. And she's like, all right, let me ask her. So I guess she asked Ashley and she said, hey, come early. And I said, oh, I'm going to be there when the doors open. So when I showed up, you can ask Flex, they had me put my leg on a chair and I was kind of like in this position. And Ashley at first was freaking out because she was like, are you sure? She's like, I don't want to screw up the signature. And I was like, no, you're fine. So we had to like dry up my skin and we had to use a specific permanent marker. So she signed it. And as soon as she was done, I had to run to the other side of MegaCon and they sprayed it's kind of like a hairspray, but for ink. So it stays onto the skin. And I sat down and they tattooed it. And when I left, Ashley was telling me, she's like, come back when you get your leg tattoo. I want to see it. So we went, I showed it to her. She was laughing. And then I told her, I'll be right back. I'm going to JSA to go get it actually authenticated.
you had your leg autograph authenticated. I love the commitment.
Yeah. Actually, I've been waiting to have like a weekend off to be able to. I actually wanted to get the JSA logo tattooed next to it with its number.
It's awesome. So somewhere in a database, somewhere in this country, there's a number that matches your autograph, and it says Nilda Avalos' leg calf or left leg. That's awesome.
Yeah, it has Ashley's name and the tattoo artist's name.
I like the idea that you protected your leg against being, forged. I like that. That's
yeah. Good. I told Ashley, I said, if anything ever happens to me, I'll make sure like that piece of the leg is like carved out and it's put in like an in case, like you know how the Japanese
Sure.
like to save their family members like back pieces. I'll send it
Absolutely.
back to her.
You got to stretch that out and make a lampshade out of it. I get it. Nice. This is
So
taking a very dark turn. I love it, Nilda. This is great.
yeah, I like it. We're going back and forth. We're
We're
bantering with each
riffing. I
other.
like it. We're riffing. We're being spontaneous. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man,
But
that's
yeah,
great. All right.
I
Sorry
like.
again. I keep turning the interview around on you. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, it's fine. I love this. So yeah, I like Ahsoka, Luke Skywalker. I'm a huge Darth Vader fan. As I've gotten older, and I think it's because I've met him quite a few times, and I don't know why. I just every time I see him, I get very teary eyed. I love me some Lando Calrissian. I
Hey,
love Billy
Billy
D.
D.
Williams. Yeah,
Absolutely. What have we here? Absolutely.
yeah. I love Billy. I've met him now twice, and the two times that we have interacted, he's just been such a sweetheart, very nice,
Very charming.
and very charming. And I don't know, I was telling somebody the other day, I feel like, and I'm not throwing it out there into the universe because I don't want to, but the day that he does go, I feel like a part of me is going to be very sad, just how I was sad when I found out when Carrie had passed away. I think I would sit in my house for a while, and it would take me a while to like want to leave my house because I would be
I
sad thinking about that.
One of the things I one of my least favorite traits in people is cynicism.
Yeah.
And when celebrities die and people express grief because a celebrity meant something to them, and a certain section of the population puts them down or makes fun of them and say they didn't even know you, that kind of thing. That's not what it's about. That's not. It's because that person brought you some happiness, a lot of
Mhm.
happiness in some cases. Um, of course, you're going to grieve that loss. Of course, I absolutely. When Carrie Fisher passed away, that everybody felt that.
Oh
When
yeah.
Mark goes, I'm going to be depressed. I'm going to be sad because he's brought me countless truly countless hours of entertainment and joy in my life. How could you not, that is more than some family members do for people. So of course you're
Mhm.
going to mourn that. I completely understand that. So I say if a celebrity dies and that meant something to you, mourn it, grieve it, express it. The one most recently that impacted me was Matthew Perry in 2023.
Yeah.
Um, Made me laugh for years and years and years and years, countless times, and it's one of my comfort shows, Friends, and he was my favorite character. And so, yeah, when he died, I was really, really upset because he brought a lot of light into the world, a lot of joy. That should be celebrated. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's not because I think I knew the guy. Of course I didn't. You're grieving what this person brought and meant to your life. So when Billy D. Williams passes away, well, of course, mourn it, feel it, express it. Sorry.
Yeah, we took a dark turn.
Yeah, we did. Let me.
But
The
no, those
soapbox is
are
getting higher and higher.
no, but those are my favorite characters. I don't know. Like I said, as I've gotten older, I've had such an appreciation for Lando Calrissian. Every time now it hits midnight, I always play the last scene in Return of the Jedi because I think it's hilarious that he's wearing Han Solo's clothing.
It does. Yeah, that is. It's very odd. Very odd.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
wearing.
he
He's
was
like, I
spending
think
all
he
his
wanted
time
to.
and he didn't have time to swing back to the Cloud City, which I would imagine has an Imperial regiment there, so he can't go back and get his capes. So he's got to use Han's outfits. That's what I think. That's how I explain it to myself.
That, or I have a dark theory thinking that he didn't think that Han was going to make it out of carbonite, and he
Whoa!
figured if maybe he'd wear the same clothes as him, then Leia would want to be with him, because apparently he did have a crush on Leia.
Oh my God!
Just
This is
saying.
turning into like Real Housewives of Kashyyyk. I like it. I like it. I'm down with the fanfic, Nelda. We got to start writing this down.
They should make a show like that, The Real Housewives of Kashyyyk. Love it. I'm a big Bravo fanatic, so I do watch those shows. So I think it would be funny if they did like a Star Wars version of The Real Housewives.
That's right. In England, I think they call it Love Island or something. So we got to call this one like Octu Island. We got to do it. We got to make it work. We got to find a way.
We gotta find a way.
Some trashy Twi'leks fighting every week, with with their leg cue. See, I'm using the terminology. I'm getting into deep cuts here.
You are. All right. So I have to know,
Yes.
how did you come up with the idea of Imperial Walker Inc.? I know the reason of the name, but how did you start in wanting to start doing autographs, create the Facebook group page?
What I when I've told the story, and then people are probably getting bored of it. There was never a plan. There was never any design for anything. I think that had there been a plan, it never would have become what it has become. I first started autograph collecting because I found out, well, I started well before I was doing anything like this. I was collecting just actor autographs. And the
Okay.
first actor I got was Anthony Daniels in Chicago at a show called Wizard World in 1999. He was there with a group called the Men Behind the Mask Tour.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's him, Peter Mayhew, Jeremy Bullock, Ken Colley, Femi Taylor, who played Ula.
I love her.
And I thought, oh, all these people are going to be at the show. Let me go get their autograph. And I did. And I got their autographs. And I was shocked at the time. Remember, this is 1999, 27 years ago, that Anthony Daniels' autograph cost $25. I was like, what in the name of God?
25 bucks.
Well, at the time it was highway robbery. We're like, holy crap. Of course, we had no idea what was going to happen to the autograph market, but still at the time it seemed obscene because everyone else was like 10 to 15 bucks. But I paid it and I was very happy and I was very excited. Ray Park was there. The Phantom Menace had just come out. So that's what I was collecting in terms of autographs. Just every now and then an actor would come to Chicago and I'd go get him. Very informal, very loose, nothing structured at all. And then in 2010, I found out that Harrison Ford was going to be promoting a movie in Chicago called Extraordinary Measures. He had produced the film, and I had never gone and tried to get the autograph of somebody just on a whim because they're making an appearance. I had never done that, and I didn't know how to. And at the time, there was a set of forums called Rebel Scum. Were you ever in those forums?
Yeah, I've heard about them.
They had a dedicated autograph sub forum, and I went in there and I asked questions like, hey, how can I get Harrison Ford's autograph? Very, very noob question. And I got attacked from every direction saying, what, are you crazy? You don't ask that question. No one helped me. No one told me. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to figure this out on my own. The only research I did was he was coming on a Thursday night or a Friday night. I think it was a Thursday. Earlier in the week, he had made 2 other stops. One was in Dallas, and there was video of his appearance in Dallas. And what he asked was that everybody get in a line, and he went down the line and signed. I'm like, okay, well, that's what I think what we got to do. That was all the research I did. It worked out because we went, when I got to the place in Chicago, everyone was kind of all over the place. And I told like 5 or 6 people, let's get in line. He seems to like lines. Again, this just from one little YouTube video that I saw. And sure enough, he made a beeline right for us and signed down the line. I was so excited. Couldn't believe I'd gotten Harrison Ford, my very first ever attempt at in-person. And he signed beautifully for me. It's still on my wall right here. But that's this is to get to answer your question. So I was only focused on actors. Then at some point, I left Rebel Scum for kind of, sucky reasons, and it's not the time or the place, but left that group and created my own little group. And by little, I mean incredibly little. It was probably like 10 people. And I called it Chicago Scum. Very original name. Rebel Scum, Chicago Scum. So just some Chicago guys to share tips on, hey, I heard someone's going to be here. I heard X person's going to be downtown. Just share tips like that. At some point, we started letting people that were not in Chicago into the group. And at one point, one day, out of nowhere, I said on a thread, hey, I'd really like to get the autograph of everybody who worked on the AT-ATs in The Empire Strikes Back. And at that time, I'd done some research on them, and I had a pretty good idea of who had worked on them. The model makers primarily. So I thought, oh, this is gonna be about 10 people that we get. In the end, it wound up being a 4-year project, and about 42 people ultimately signed it. Wow. And learned a lot. But that's how it started. It was that germ of saying, I want just the people that worked on the Imperial Walker. And I didn't know anybody. I live in Chicago. I couldn't be farther from the action if you tried. It's Luke's quote. I'm if there's a bright center of the universe, I'm on the planet that it's farthest from. That's exactly what I am right here. I'm nowhere near where I should be to do what I do. Before this, the serendipity of it was in the 90s, in the mid to late 90s, I frequented a forum called the Replica Prop Forum. And
Okay.
on that group, I have no talent for replica props. I have no model making skills, but I was a huge fan of those who do. And I saw that someone who worked on the prequel trilogy, Don Bees, was there. And we had some interactions, very limited, very high level, but it was enough for me that was my only contact, the only person I knew who had any even tangential relationship with Star Wars, to reach out by a private message and say, hey, do you happen to know anybody who worked on the original Star Wars trilogy and specifically on the Imperial Walkers? And lo and behold, his best man at his wedding, one of the best men at his wedding, I think it was, yes, best man at Don's wedding was John Burke, who was one of the key players in bringing the Imperial Walkers to the screen. I'm like, holy crap! What are the chances? And so that he got me initiated and started talking to those folks, and that's how it began. That's how it started. There was no say, I'm gonna start an autograph group. Nope, that kind of just happened. It just kind of rolled from there. Hey, let's start doing our signings. And I want to be clear, in those first years, it wasn't just me. Because I was in Chicago and the group was so small, I couldn't afford to go out to California every month to do signings. So I had help in California with some good friends, AJ Nesselrod, Steve Grad, Andy Luck. All of us, they were my kind of boots on the ground in California. I would set up a lot of the signings. They'd set some up. And that's how we kind of started making headway into building relationships with the folks in that community of signers. And it just snowballed. It kind of grew organically, where the visual effects artists would talk to each other about us and say, hey, these guys are cool. They pay when they say they're going to pay. You're okay to sign with them. And so they're a very insular group. They protect each other. They take care of each other. And so they are not actors. So you got to approach them very differently than you would actors.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of growing pains to figure all that out. But never once did I say, I'm going to start an autograph group and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. That happened all organically and by happenstance over the years.
But I think that's the best way things should be, organically.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it would have been, I don't think it could have gone to where it is had it been any other way. Life took us all in different directions. AJ, Steve, they all went on to the different things. Andy's gone into other things and different focuses. And I'm the one who's kind of stayed in this line of visual effects. But what I knew 6 or 7 years ago was my original group, which was only about 40 to 50 people that really participated. That wasn't enough to keep this going, and it wasn't sustainable. I needed a larger group. So I created something, and that's what became Imperial Walker Inc. That was the only time I made a conscious decision to grow something and open it up to more people, because I needed more people to be able to extend offers to folks, because some people want more money. Other people want less. So in order to be able to do that, I needed a much larger group. And that's what that became the inception of Imperial Walker Inc.
I like that. That's a really good story.
Well, I try, but that is the truth. That's how it started.
Yeah, no. I got introduced to your page, I think in, what is it? I think like 2021 or 2022.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and I love it. One thing I did know that I had to make sure of, I had to set my notifications with your page, because I would see something and I would go to work and I would see it in like a quick little whim. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll come back and check it out. And then I would go and check it and it would be gone or like sold out, no longer. So I was like, you know what? I have to start putting my notifications for this page.
I get that a lot, that things disappeared or don't show up on your feed. I don't know how the Facebook algorithm works. Intuitively, I would think that the notifications you get are a result or a function of the way you interact with Facebook. So if you actively go into Imperial Walker Inc. regularly, you're probably going to get that at the top of your notifications. But if you only look at it casually, which there's no harm in doing that, the algorithm might say, oh, she's a casual, visitor. She's probably not prioritizing notices. So yeah, some things get missed. I totally get that. I don't know how to, that's not me. That's Facebook engineering. I don't know how to get around that part and the coding of it all. But the reason sometimes these offerings are so limited compared to actors is most of the people that I'm doing signings with, because I prioritize the original trilogy, are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. So they
Yeah.
can't be signing thousands of items. So there's almost always a volume limit, like 300 items, 200 items, and they can go pretty quickly because people are working on multiple projects at the same time. A Millennium Falcon, TIE Fighter, and these folks generally, touched a lot of things, and so that's why they go pretty quickly. Are you
Yeah.
looking at the time going, oh, we're losing people left and right the more Hector drones on about his
No.
crappy website? I get it. I totally
No.
get it.
I'm just
We could talk
laughing.
about my insecurities, which are legion. There's so many of them. Where do we even start?
Wait, what? You have insecurities?
Oh my God. It's easier to list my securities because there's very few of those. The insecurities vastly outweigh the securities.
So being that you do signatures, this is something actually when we talked about, doing this, it was one question that immediately just came to me that I was like, I have to ask Hector
Yeah.
this.
Ask me whatever you want. There's nothing off limits.
What is your favorite signing that you've ever done?
I do get that a lot, and I always struggle to answer because there's so many ways. But if it's truly just favorite, loved that I had such a great time. There's been so many great ones. Thankfully, the great ones outweigh the bad ones there, and there have been some bad ones. I got to say that first signing with Marcia Lucas is got to be up there because don't give it took forever. That's a whole story into itself, and we're not going to do the story here because it takes forever. There's Marcia. And she just passed away, for those who don't know.
Oh, so sad.
It took from the very first time that I even thought, hey, I should try to get an autograph with her, until she actually sat down at a table. Probably, I think in the end, 12 years from beginning to finally getting her to sit down. And up until she was sitting at the table, I didn't know I just didn't want to ruin it, and she's gonna say no. And then she wound up being the loveliest person you could want her to be. Just a lovely, lovely person. So we had a very good time, and she was very friendly and very nice. And then she was open for a second round 2 years later. And I remember at the time for the second round thinking I shouldn't bother her so soon. And then I thought, this is a little bit dark. I thought, well, what if we lose her for some reason? I should get this in now. And it turned out to be a wise move because unfortunately we did lose her. And I have the sense, between you and me, although this is getting into her personal business, that she was already sick on that second session.
Yeah.
That's now looking back on it. I feel she already had cancer the second time I met with her. But I was unbelievably shocked and numbed when she passed away. But that's my favorite one. That's just the whole. It became kind of a legendary story unto itself, how it came to be, and I don't think I'll ever top that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, how we discuss when a celebrity goes, like, we'll sit there and be like, damn, that's how I felt about Marsha. I was at work and my phone, like my medical practice that I'm at, it has certain areas. The reception is terrible. You don't get anything.
Yeah.
So I was walking down one hallway and it was like very spotty, and I could just feel my phone just constantly in my scrubs. And I looked at my watch and I was just like, why are people sending me messages on Instagram? And then I went outside, I looked, and I just sat down, and I was just in a state of shock for over like 20 minutes, I have to say. And I was just like, holy crap. I was like, this is so sad. I was like, I literally just interviewed the guy who did the documentary for the Nickel company, who did the documentary with Marsha. And he was talking just nothing but the nicest things about Marsha. And I kept telling, for the longest time, I was telling friends, I was like, that is one person that I've been dying to meet. I go, and I hope I get to soon, because unfortunately, like how you said it, some of these actors, they're getting older, and it's like, you don't want to miss that opportunity. It was the same thing with Billy. People complain about Billy D. Williams being a $300 autograph.
I think he's underpriced.
Yeah. He's Lando Calrissian. And I had friends of mine give me crap about it. And I was like, dude, I go, he's in his 80s. Like, I don't know how much longer he's going to have with us. I have to meet him. I go, a lot of these guys, they're getting older. And it's like, if you don't take that opportunity and meeting them, you're going to risk and you're going to sit there and think like the what ifs.
Sure. Look, in the autograph collecting game, there are so many kinds of approaches you can take to autograph collecting in Star Wars. There are folks that want one of everybody who had even the most fleeting contribution to the films. There are people that want a lot of their favorite character, and all there's no approach that's wrong. But if I have limited resources, which most people do, uh, I would probably be more inclined to spend more money on Billy D. Williams than smaller amounts on other people that were in supporting roles, like in
Yeah.
Stormtrooper outfits. There's nothing wrong with getting the guys who are in Stormtroopers. Those are very fun projects. Nothing wrong with that. But if I have a limited resource, I'm probably going to put it to to a guy who was a meaningful character and had speaking roles and a favorite character for so many,
Mm-hmm.
and the only person of color in the main cast for the
Yeah.
original films.
Or if you if you want to give credit to the one guy who had a 5 second scene, what is it, Woodrow Hill or Woodrow Hall?
The guy with the ice cream thing.
Yeah, which is hysterical. I think I want to say like 6 months ago, I like to listen to different Star Wars podcasts, even international ones.
Yeah.
And there was one based off of France that I got to watch on YouTube. And I guess the host of that show actually found the actor who played that character.
Really?
But unfortunately, he passed away.
No.
But he was able to talk to the actor's daughter. And the father never knew the magnitude of his character, never knew that his character is the most cosplayed character in Star Wars Celebration.
Don't they have a running of the characters at the
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so much fun. That's what I love about Star Wars fandom, the ability to turn the most minor, seemingly inconsequential background character into a legend. I love that we do that.
Yeah.
You know?
We do that with vintage toys.
Yeah,
with
we
any
do.
of the droids or the creatures, any of the vintage Kenner toys, if they're either, robots or creatures that you only saw vaguely for about 5 seconds, they're the most obscene price toys to get.
Well, what I've always liked about Star Wars collectibles is that if they were in the cantina, even if they were just drinking, the action figure, the statue is going to have a gun.
Yes.
So I like that. I like that everyone in that cantina was up to no good. That's true hive of scum and villainy. I love that.
Yeah, that's where all the bad guys hang out.
That's
Which
right.
honestly, if that was a real place, I'd probably go hang out there too.
Hang on. I'm in LA quite a lot because of signings, and every now and then I'll go to Disneyland. The one place I have not been able to get into is the cantina. So someday, hopefully.
What?
No, I've not been able to. I don't have the juice that you do, Nilda.
Honestly, I was gonna piggyback to what you were saying about, going to, the areas where like a celebrity might be at to go get signatures. That is something I've always wanted to do. I have a friend of mine, Evan, who does it. He luckily lives in New York.
Oh, nice.
And he's always outside of all the Broadway shows, and these signatures that he gets is insane. Just recently, he was walking his dog in Central Park, happens to bend down to pick up his dog's, business, looks up, and Frank Oz is right in front of him.
Nice.
And he took a picture with Frank. With Frank, said he got to talk to Frank for about 10 minutes, and he said that he was able to get a piece of paper real quick, and Frank signed it for him.
That's awesome.
And I told him, I was like, what are the odds of that? You're just like walking your dog in Central Park and you bump into Frank Oz.
That is doing that in particular. That's amazing. That's awesome. That is cool.
So I know you said that there was a worse signature. I don't know if you're able to talk about that because somebody did ask.
A worse experience?
The worst experience. You don't have to say who it was, but you could say what the experience was.
To me, it's all about how you treat people.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say it's the worst, it's about people who have had condescending attitudes, and I won't say the names because
Yeah.
it it I think why dwell in the negative, but it's people who have looked down on the collecting aspect of it, made fun of it. Um, that's when I feel bad because with every person that I approach, I'm a fan first,
Yeah.
and then I can't. It's hard for me to separate my admiration for the work they did from the person, and I'm not, and in every case, I'm not asking them for charity. They're being paid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, at least act like a gentleman or a gentle lady in some cases, and treat the other person on the other side of the transaction with dignity and respect. And I've had situations where I've been made to feel less than.
That
And
sucks.
again, you're dealing with a person who is 98% insecurity. That's the almost totality of my makeup. So very easy to break the armor with me. And I think the worst one was in, I want to say 2018 or 2019. I'll only say that he was one of Marshall Lucas's colleagues in the editing game, and you guys can figure out who it was pretty easily with that.
That sucks.
It does suck.
No, but you know what?
Here's one of the
I've been
biggest
there.
examples of that day. That day with that person, it was at his home, and it turned out to be one of the hottest days in Los Angeles. It was so unbelievably hot, and we were having the signing midday. The sun is highest in the sky. This person had no air conditioning in their home, or at least it wasn't turned on. Stiflingly hot. The signing lasted about 3 to 4 hours, if I recall correctly. And me and the 2 or 3 friends I mentioned earlier were with me, and we're sweating up a storm. We're moving things to and fro, and at one point, this person said, "Let's take a break." Pulled out um, a drink cart, poured himself a drink, and got himself some snacks. Didn't offer us anything, not once while we were in his house. Now, I'm not saying you have to. It's part of the gig. You don't have to do anything, but to me, that speaks volumes. Not to mention the fact that all the way leading up to the signing, this person was unbelievably condescending and rude to me for no reason whatsoever. I was always polite and deferential to this person, and I'll never understand what I did or didn't do right that he saw fit to treat me like crap from beginning to end. And then the signing itself, we left and we were all in different cars, and I just ran to a gas station to get water because I was dying of thirst by the end of that.
You're like, need water.
Yeah, I was parched.
No, I've been there. I've gone, like I said, I do my signatures mostly at conventions. And I've had maybe, I want to say, 3, not as bad, not bad to the point where, I'll never meet this person ever again or anything like that. But maybe I caught them at a bad day, they weren't happy. One of them I was extremely in shock, but he ended up redeeming himself, and I'll say it. I met Tom Savini here in Florida, but they had him in
Okay.
a con. They had him in a con where I don't think anyone of that generation would have understood what Tom Savini means to us. And they had him in between 2 anime actors. So his table was dead the whole entire time. And you could just tell that he had this look on his face like this was a waste of my time.
Yeah.
So I met him there because I was like, oh, his line is short. There's nobody really here. I'm going to get something done with him. I took a selfie with him, and he was, very short with talking. But then I ended up meeting him again in Orlando. There's a convention that is just dedicated to horror movies and spooky. And I think because he was in his element, it was a different Tom. The
Right.
interaction was a lot of fun. He was in his element. So that interaction was great.
That's great. And I try to be positive, but in this case, with the example I gave, every single interaction, email, phone, every single one was tinged with, I would cringe writing, "Hey, is tomorrow still good? Is it 10 a.m.?" And right back with some nastiness and condescension, and it just was so hard. He made everything so excruciatingly hard. So I'm glad you got to see the 180 flip with Tom Savini.
Yeah. But like I said, I have interacted with others that, are were the same way. So it's like you kind of have to, I feel, since I've been doing this now for quite some time, I have seen it that, not all the time you're going to hit home runs. You're not going to get someone that's going to be very cheery. You're probably going to catch them at a bad day. They haven't had their Starbucks coffee or something.
Of course.
But, I take it as it is what it is. I got what I wanted. I got my signature. Yeah, maybe the experience wasn't as fun, but that's the game that you play when you're trying to hunt for autographs.
Absolutely. Totally get it.
Now, I have to ask, how many autographs do you have?
Oh man, I don't
Have you
keep
ever
a
counted?
I in the early part of my collecting I probably did. I haven't counted recently. If I had to guess, and it's a total guess, and I may be way off, I'm gonna guess 700 to 800. I'm guessing. Guessing.
I counted mine the other day. I'm like too shy from 200.
Hey, that's awesome. And it's not a competition. I don't view them. I don't ever sit there go, oh, 34, 35. I'm just looking at the photo and remembering if there's a story associated with the
Yeah.
autograph, anything. That's all I am caring about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Well, for me, it was a coworker was asking me, like I was telling them that, in the next couple of months, I'm going to be going to Texas for a convention, getting autographs there. There's a con here in Florida that I'm going to go to meet again Hayden and Rosario. And my coworker was like, "You're getting their autograph again?" I'm like, "Yeah, because I collect these plaques that is made by a gentleman by the name of Ariel Martinez." I go, and the way that I've been collecting my plaques now is I do it by show, movie, or character. So I have almost the whole entire main cast of Ahsoka. So I'm just missing Hayden and Rosario. So, they were
very nice.
asking, yeah, they were asking me, they're like, how many autographs do you have? And I
Never
was like,
justify why you're buying an autograph. You want to get
I
20
know.
Rosarios at one show, get 20 Rosarios in one show. I celebrate you. Do what you got to do. Who cares how many autographs you got?
Yeah.
How
But no,
many?
I counted. They asked me, they were like, how many autographs do you think you have? And I was like, I can't recall. And I went home and like took my books out and started counting. And I was like, oh, wow. I was like, this is a lot.
No, it's not. I mean, I think that's great. That's awesome. You have a collection. You're a
Yeah.
collector. Collectors never have to explain to other collectors. That's what's awesome about collecting.
Well, I honestly made it. What is it? I made a morbid joke and I said, the day that I pass, I'm going to have all my collectibles, well, my signatures, come with me and we're going to incinerate together and just become one massive signature.
I like it. I agree with that. That's kind of the Egyptian sarcophagus approach. Bury all your valuables with you. I totally get that. I turn it whenever people ask me the whole "What's your favorite autograph?" I like to put the stakes up. I always my scenario is always if your house is on fire, you've got your loved ones out, your pets, everybody's out, and you only have time to go back in and save one collectible safely before the house burns down. Which one would it be, Nilda?
Well, you facilitated that recently. So that will be the first thing that I'll
First
be
one to start
grabbing
with.
now.
That's
Yes.
awesome. That's
I have to
awesome.
tell you this really quick. The stress, not you, not your page, not the website. I think it was just more internally me. The amount of stress I had that day to make sure that I told everyone at my job, don't freaking bother me between this time and this time. Don't come knocking at my office. Don't send me messages. My phone is going to be turned off. Like, I felt as stressed out how I felt trying to buy a single ticket for Celebration. I was freaking out the whole entire time. I kept checking my Wi-Fi at work, making sure that it was working. I made
Um,
sure I made a prop store account. I was like checking off everything. And as
um,
soon as you guys announced, like as soon as you posted the link, I immediately was like clicking on it as fast as I could.
we you know, Propster and I were looking at the link, and I want to make sure everything's right. I edited the post, And then I even made a mistake in that final post. The link, I put it in twice, but
Yes.
thankfully it didn't seem to affect anybody. And I didn't want to edit the post while people were trying to get into it, so I had to leave it up as is. Um, but I'm so glad you got one because um, a lot of people didn't. I think there were plenty to go around,
Oh
but
yeah.
even I um, didn't anticipate the amount of interest there would be. I was shocked. I was absolutely
Really?
shocked. Oh yeah, I knew there'd be interest, but I thought more people had him than did, and I guess I was really wrong
Mm-hmm.
because so many people that have posted it now and shared that it finally arrived in their mailbox. My first Lucas, or I never thought I'd have a Lucas. I was really surprised. That's me living in my own cloud of not understanding the world around me. Um, if the only thing I do internet wise is Imperial Walker Ink. So I don't know what people have in their collections or anything like that. I really don't. So I was very pleasantly surprised to see that we helped fill a huge void in many people's collections.
Oh
So I'm glad.
yeah.
How are you gonna display it? Your tube went out yesterday.
Yes, and my tube arrives tomorrow. So I'm
Yay!
excited. Yeah, I was at work today and I got the email confirmation. It was like USPS, and I know I ordered something else. And then when I saw that it said your name, I was like, yes. I was like, I'm gonna run home, take a look at this. And by the way, thank you so much for responding to me yesterday and telling me like your advice on how do you think I should frame it, because in all honesty, you know, I when this arrived and I still have it in the box. It's been in a dark room, and like I'll show it here as well. It's been in a dark room. I still kept it in the
That is
plastic.
a thing. Look at the size of that thing.
I know this thing is so big.
It is. Now remember, George has been a good signer, but he signs when he was signing, it was always in the street, quickly in a rush with a bunch of people pushing and shoving. You
Yes.
got a sit down signature, perfectly placed, no rushing at his leisure. You got a gem there. That's amazing.
What I absolutely loved about your what I absolutely love about Imperial Walker Inc., the group. I love that everybody there doesn't what's the word? They don't gatekeep.
Right.
I love that somebody was able to take their time and go on YouTube and actually find the video of when he was doing this signing. So
Yes.
it just made it more like I don't even have the words for it. Like in all honesty, when this arrived, I came home and I said hi to my significant other first, and he looked at me and he was like, "You didn't go open that?" I was like, "No, I'm gonna say hi to you first." I go, and then I'm gonna ignore you for the rest of the night. But I sat there and was just like, holy shit, like this is here in my house. I'm afraid to open this. And I took my time opening the box, and as soon as I did and I saw it, Hector, in all honesty, I cried so hard because this is something I've always wanted, and this is how you said it. My house is on fire. This is the first thing I'm grabbing. This is coming with me. Anything,
Well,
anything happens,
it's
this is coming
so
with me.
awesome to hear your story, to hear your words, to see your enthusiasm. I don't get to see that very often. I generally, when people reach out to me, they're mad at me for some reason. That's how I live my life, constantly opening the notes that say, "What did you do?" So I'm very happy to hear that. When you get your tube tomorrow, as excited as you are, take your time opening it.
Oh
Take it out.
yeah.
Take it out very carefully. It's paper.
I have gloves.
Okay, paper is very fragile. Um, you don't want to dent it. It's going to look beautiful on your wall. And that
Yeah.
that that really is the only recommendation is the frame, the color, the material. That's up to your personal preference. The important thing is make sure that whoever you take it to uses preservation and archival materials, which means everything is asset free. The mat board, the mat itself, the pay a little bit extra for the anti UV and anti glare because it's
Mhm.
going to protect that investment. Because even though you only paid $300 for it, I meant it. That thing's worth way more.
Yeah.
So you want to protect it. So spend a little bit more to protect that investment.
Yeah. You know what's funny? We're talking about pricing and how much it was. Um what made me sick to my stomach witnessing on the group page was that somebody actually took advantage of this group page, bought the freaking signature, and then reposted it. I think it was on eBay because I saw it. I saw it on eBay. I was nosy and I wanted to see. I was like, this guy actually did it. And it's funny because the guy who did it, I actually had interactions with him on the group page because, like I said, the group page is big, but it's small. It's as well where everybody kind of knows each other. We all interact with each other. You know, like if I post, you know, sometimes you would post stuff like, you know, show your newest autograph. And if we posted, people would, you know, interact with each other, and sometimes you would make friends out of it.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, so to see somebody in our little group do that, it's just like, man, you really took advantage of being in such a great Facebook group page that, you know, you, it's never going to be, you're never going to redeem that.
No, and look, I was adamant that I wanted these to be affordable and accessible. I wanted them to be a gift for Imperial Walker Inc. members for their loyalty, for trusting in this experiment. And to me, and I didn't explicitly say don't flip these, but I thought it was understood that he was selling them outside. These were meant for Imperial Walker Inc. members. I wanted them to stay in Imperial Walker Inc. member collections. Now they belong to you guys. I can't do anything, but I can say something about whether or not you get to stay in the group. And that's what happened with him, because I'm like, you know what? You didn't even wait a day. I mean, not even a day.
No, people haven't even a day.
People haven't gotten their confirmations completely. These all haven't all shipped. So it's like, okay, you wanted to take something that was meant to be. He probably wanted market value. Again, these are worth more than $300. They really are. And take advantage of the group. I thought, no, we can't do that. So that was disappointing. Yes.
Yeah. I do love that prop store, their certificate of authenticity. It does say IWI.
Yeah.
So well, I love that.
It was a collab, as the influencers say. You know? Yeah, no, it was a partnership. They did the fulfillment, because if it had been up to me, you guys wouldn't be getting these until like December. So you should be glad it wasn't going through me. So
yeah, that was quick.
Well, you know, they have the infrastructure. I don't. That's the one thing about my group that a lot of people get frustrated with. But I'm a one-man show, so I am sales, set up the signings, take orders, write them down, print photos, and then I've got to ship it all myself. So when we partnered, it was always going to be Prop Store fulfilling the orders and getting them out quickly, because it wouldn't have made sense for me to do it. So. But yeah, it was definitely a partnership. It was meant to be an Imperial Walker Inc. exclusive.
Yeah, it's a beautiful partnership, because in all honesty, I had a feeling. I was like, you know, I'm gonna buy this now, and it is gonna take time because they have to fulfill it, you know, do the certificate of authenticity. So I wasn't one of those where I'm like, I'm in a rush. I was like, I'm not in a rush. I
get it. I'm a fan myself. I want things fast. I want them now. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But even with Prop Store's team, Prop Store, awesome. Brandon Allinger and I have a pretty good relationship for a while now. They are used to handling really high-end items, but generally one or two of said high-end item. Mm-hmm. And this is, you know, I can't say the number, but it's obviously more than one. And so even even with the team that they have, this is still a lot to get through. So they're taking their time to make sure they get it right. They don't want to mess anything up. And the people that still haven't gotten their orders, they're going to get them. Just got to be a little patient. They're going to get them.
I do love that the autograph itself doesn't have a numbered.
Yeah, it's not.
I love it.
I don't know everything about the Frames book, but when it was first offered, I don't know if you remember when it was first offered in 2008, the books were really large.
Yeah, it was like that big,
like really large. It was meant to be a high-end piece, and it was housed in this beautiful cherry walnut wood case. And my understanding, and this is completely based on anecdotal information, not any data, was that a lot of the books were falling apart in shipment or in handling. So all of the cards that were intended to go in there, I think it was going to be a set of 1,138 of these books. They never made that many. but he signed a lot of the cards because they were going to go in the books, and they never got signed. So that's why there was all these cards. And because they never made as many books as they thought, they didn't number the cards. So that's what you guys get, no numbered cards. So no one can be bragging, oh, I got number 30, I got number 100,
Yeah.
mine's
No,
better or number.
I loved it. As soon as it arrived, because I was like, oh, I wonder what number I'm going to get. And then as soon as it arrived and it had no number, I was like, this is perfect. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, I wonder what number I'm getting. And
no numbers.
No numbers, which is great, because then, like how you said it, no one's disappointed that they didn't get a specific number that they wanted.
Exactly. Right. Yes.
I see it as being a fan going, I have a freaking George Lucas on it.
Yes. No, I'm all about democratizing these collectibles. I one of the reasons I left Rebel Scum was because kind of this cliquey group was taking care of themselves and not looking out for the little guys. And I wanted this to be something everybody could have a fair shot at a fair price. I think we could have easily priced them at 800 and still sold out, but that wasn't the point of this exercise.
Yeah,
which I think is rare nowadays.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when I was talking to a couple friends of mine after everything went down, I said to them, I go, you will never see something like this ever. I said, there's no pages out there where the owner of the page actually gives a crap about the people in his Facebook group page, and specifically got such a low number to be able to make it accessible for us to get. Because in all honesty, I've seen it. I've seen how much his autograph goes for, and it's wild.
It is wild. It is very, very wild. This has been a lot of fun, Nelda. You've been awesome.
I have to say one thing to you. I do give you a lot of props. I love that you have your sons come and do these things with you sometimes.
Well, yeah, when they can, I do like to bring them primarily because I've tried to get help from the group, but people's schedules don't always align. But there is kind of a selfish reason for me that I bring them. When I first started doing this, they were very young. They were little kids and they couldn't help. But whenever I would travel, I have to travel to get the signatures. I was always very lonely, always missing them horribly. So once they were of age that they could help, and I knew that they wouldn't mess things up, and my oldest was the first to help, and he's very, very responsible, and it had nothing to do with me or his wife or my wife. He kind of was born a 40-year-old man, just very kind of centered and measured in his ways, and I knew I could trust him with anything. It was more because I didn't want to be lonely on my trip, so I brought him to help, and I wouldn't miss him. You know what I mean? So that's how it started, and then the others wanted to help, and I had them prove themselves with things that they couldn't touch anybody's stuff initially. You can help bring me markers and help me pack things up, but you can't touch any of people's items until you show me that you're responsible. And that's how I get them into it. But it really is it largely comes from a place of me not wanting to miss time with them. That's really where it comes from.
No, but I love that because, like I said to you, Star Wars, when I think of Star Wars, I think of my mom. So that's always going to be a memory that I'm always going to have. And I feel like when you're young and you get introduced to something like that with your parents, or get to experience something like that with your parents, your kids are always going to remember you for that. Like, hey, I went with my dad to so-and-so's house to go do a signing. That was the coolest day ever.
I hope so. Yeah, no, we've had some great experiences together, and I'll share one with you that I haven't told anybody. During the second signing with Marcia Lucas, Marcia was a character. Marcia was really cool. During the second signing, I took my at the time, 2 years ago, so my 15 and 17-year-olds at that age, 2 years ago, and after we were done, we went out to her garden and took some photos. When she posed with them, she pinched their butts.
I do see her doing something like that.
So, is that assault? Is that
no?
No, you gotta. She's from a different generation, right?
Yeah, so, she seemed like such a character. It wasn't.
Yeah.
She now my seemed kids, like she was a lot of fun.
My two boys can say that they had their butts pinched by Marcia Lucas.
Well, I have friends who have videos of it. When I got to see Billy D. Williams the second time at this one con in Nashville, it's called the ICC. Billy hit on me, and I thought it was great. And I kept joking around with my husband, and I was like, "Hey, I might just take one for the team." I was like, Billy D still looks amazing for his age, and
hell yeah.
I'd hang out with Lando
I
outside of this
remember at
con.
one of the celebrations that Carrie Fisher was at, she brought someone on stage who asked, "Can I get a kiss?" And he meant like a kiss on the cheek, and she wound up giving him a full open mouth kiss. And I asked my wife, if I did that, would you be upset? And she goes, "I don't think I could be upset. It's Carrie Fisher." So I would have probably had a pass if Carrie wanted to kiss me. And of course, I would have gone for it.
Look, Flex was there. He goes, "I witnessed that."
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Any other comments? Any questions from the peanut gallery I can answer?
Let me.
Are there any? Everybody's left. I know.
No, you already answered this from Vicente. He said, "Resellers have ruined so many hobbies. It's just sad."
That's true.
He said, "The main reason why my son goes with me to every con is spend time and share experiences together."
Amen, Vicente. Amen.
I like that. Oh, Dubak had asked. He said, "Hector, are you still working to get Frank Oz to sign, or has that ship sailed?"
I never say never. I've reached out to Frank probably every 2 years ever since I started doing this, and I think everybody who runs autograph companies has reached out to him. Now, what's interesting about him is that he always replies himself, which always surprises me, and he's always been very polite and always gives these paragraph-long reasons why he wouldn't do it. He feels morally wrong in charging for his autograph. So I get that. I kind of get that, and I admire and respect that. So what I've tried to do is offer him a switch. I say, hey, what if instead of paying you for the autographs, what if I make the amount of your fee a donation to a charity of your choosing? And during the pandemic, that got a little bit of traction with him. He considered it, but then ultimately he said, no, I still feel like indirectly I'm charging for my autograph, and I never want to do that. So I can't break that. There's no money that's going to break that moral quandary with him. Yeah. How do I get past that? So I think everyone who runs and wants to do a signing with him is running into the same issue. It's not a question of money moving the needle with them. That being said, whoever asked me that question, I think it was the Dubak.
Yeah.
I will never stop trying. I'll always be polite and continue to try. And who knows, maybe someday it'll work. I still think the charity angle is a good approach.
Yeah.
Let's see. But I will never give up until they tell me, until the restraining order is, unbeatable. That's when I'll stop. But otherwise, can keep going.
I never want to get to that point where somebody gets a restraining order.
Elijah Flex, you know what? I don't need your stuff. I can't remember. I'll look tonight because I'm in shipping mode right now, and I'll make sure Elijah, since he was on the call tonight, that I'll make sure his stuff gets out.
This has been a fun stream. Hats off to Hector for running an amazing group and caring for the community he built.
Well, thank you very much. That's really nice of you. Like I said, I love my group, but the majority of the time when they interact with me, they're yelling at me. So I appreciate when they're nice like this. This is great. But I still love my group despite them hating me so much.
Well, I've never hated you. You've never done wrong by me. So
thank you. Well, I get it. Star Wars fans are very, I said I wanted my autograph in white and you used silver. Sometimes there's reasons that happen. Sometimes we've been using the white ink for 2 hours and it runs, and I'll have like 20 markers and they'll run out. And sometimes I got to switch to silver. So it's not, I'm never trying to screw somebody on their autograph. You know what I mean? There's always a reason something happened. I had one person complain this week because they wanted Ben Burton white on a certain autograph, and he didn't do it. And I remember very distinctly why that happened. The white marker was working very well, but it was a hot day in his house. And again, I don't know what it is with California. I don't know how it is in Florida, but no one seems to have air conditioning in California. But Ben Burt's house doesn't have air conditioning. How about Florida? Do they have air conditioning down there?
Yeah. Honestly, my AC is on every day at either 69 or 70. I have to be cold. I have the ceiling fans running. And sometimes at night, I have a fan next to me because I like to feel like I'm sleeping in Hoth. That's
I'm
how
with
cold, that's how
my
cold I
wife and
want it
I.
to be.
My wife and I, in October, will have been married for 25 years. Those 25 years have been spent in a thermostat war that will never end. She wants to be at 73. I want to be at
Ugh,
69. It's a
no.
constant argument. I need 69. I need it to be like a meat locker in the house.
Yes.
Right? That's what I like.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ben Burt, that signing took about 5 hours. Very, very, very slow, very deliberate. He took his time. He signed about 800 items that day. And at the beginning, in the first 2 or 3 hours, he was using the white marker, but the white marker was starting to, the white markers, not just one, multiple markers, they started to flake and they were coming off on his skin and his hands, and he was getting annoyed. And at a certain point, he says, can we stop with the white markers? They're getting all over my hands. I can't deal with it. And it was getting on his wood table too. So we stopped the white markers, and there were a few at the end that didn't get the white that they wanted. But again, it wasn't me saying, no, we're not going to do white. We're going to do silver. But this person was very upset with me. I'm like, okay, you got I remember you got like 7, 8 items, and all of them were great except the one item. And of course, you focus on the one that didn't come out the way you wanted. I get that.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I had to turn them off because I one thing about my group also is that we focus on mental health. And I've suffered with anxiety for, God, I can't believe, since the year 2000, 26 years. So we talk very openly about mental health. So
Same.
anxiety is a big thing in my life, and I can't let more of that negative energy come in, even though I know it's coming from a place that it isn't ill intended. I totally get that.
Yeah. And I'm right there with you. I'm gonna be 39 in November. I've had anxiety since I was 14, like really bad.
Did you know at the time it was anxiety?
The way that I had explained it to my mom when I was younger, I would explain to her that I couldn't understand why in certain situations I would feel like as if my body was boiling, and I didn't know if maybe I was hot. I didn't know if it was hormones because I was a 14-year-old girl. So, at 14, things are happening.
Yeah.
But I couldn't understand why I just did not feel comfortable in my own skin. And I ignored it for a very long time. And then when I was 22, I finally was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of feeling this way. I can't understand why. And I remember a friend of mine had passed away from having severe depression. He ended up taking his life. And that made me think to myself, like, maybe I need to go figure out why I'm feeling this way. Why am I angry? What's going on? And I ended up, finding out I had some depression from things when I was a kid, and just really bad social anxiety, which no one ever thinks or believes me when I tell them that I have severe social anxiety because I'm going to cons all the time. But
Right.
it's like no one understands, and you probably get it, the prepping I have to do to be able to go to like a con, like something like MegaCon or, Fan Expo, and have to be around that many people. And sometimes, people will be like, oh, she's very quiet. It's just that I'm trying to tell my inside to just calm down and that everything is all right.
I had someone explain it to me, illustrate it to me very about 2 or 3 years ago, which I've always used now as the example. Was that I'm an introvert, and I don't have social anxiety. I have generalized anxiety disorder,
Okay.
which mine only has one trigger, and it's primarily work. I work in finance, which I don't know what I was thinking with dealing with anxiety, why I went in that field, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? Anyway, I'm an introvert. My wife is an extrovert. And if we go to a party, my battery, the longer I'm at the party, goes like this.
Yeah.
Hers goes like this as she's
Yeah.
at the party. So at a certain point, I'm checking out. I'm done. I want to leave, and I can't deal with it anymore. And she's just getting going. And that's the way I would, the whole, you got to prep for that con. And I would imagine that as you're going through the weekend, your energy is
Oh
depleting.
yeah. There's been times where I've gone to conventions. Most recently, like last year, I went to a con in Texas, and I had to prepare myself to being around that many people. And there was a couple times where I left. Like I got the signatures that I wanted, and then I left for a couple hours and went to my room and was there. I took a nap, I took a shower, I walked around. I did get hotel food downstairs at the bar and probably took like a beer or two and took it back to my room. But, I needed to be alone to kind of like reset myself and be like, all right, let me get a couple hours of just me and like not think about my anxiety and go back out. And I'm the same way as you. Like I said I say this to people and no one ever really believes me until you actually know me outside of this world. But I'm an introvert as well. I love staying at home. I love movies. That's my other passion. I love cinema. I can watch movies all day. And my significant other is the same way. He is the social butterfly. We go out, him and his friends, they're, bad shit crazy, laughing and stuff like that. And me, I'm the quiet one. I'll read, I'll look at something on my phone, I'll look at the news or something. But, I as much as you like to talk about it as well on your Facebook group page, I do the same thing on my Instagram account. I'm always talking about mental health, making sure telling people, like reach out, talk, it doesn't hurt reaching out to friends because I've always told friends of mine, I've had a lot of friends of mine die from suicide. And one of my really good friends who actually was my stepbrother's best friend, he passed away. And that was probably the hardest death I ever had to deal with somebody that was very close in my family, passing away from having really bad depression and anxiety. And just seeing how that took a turn, it just made me focus on like using my platform as a way of like telling people that if you're experiencing anything like this, it's good to talk about it, get it out there. And, there's people out there who feel the same way as you.
So sorry about your deaths. Yeah, I on Monday, for example, I had a horrible day at work, absolutely horrible day at work. It was a Monday to boot, of course, and I that was the day we announced Joe Johnston art commissions.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
I went out and did a live to the group so I can talk to them about that, and just talking to them about that took my mind off of the horrible day I'd had, and that's always helpful being able to talk. That's one of the challenges that I deal with whole being an introvert. The battery going like this is
Mm-hmm.
when you're at a signing. I'm the one who has to keep the signer engaged, talk to them, talking about their career, and that doesn't come naturally to me. I'm not Mr. Social Butterfly, and I have to keep that energy up, and that's so draining. And sometimes I'll have 3 or 4 signings a day. Those at the end of those days, I'm just a zombie at the end.
Yeah. So I'll end my segment like how I always end it. If there's any general advice that you would give to anyone, getting into the signature world or, just overall, just in collecting, what advice would you give to them?
Well, I think getting into collecting now, if you're going to approach Star Wars, just from like the actor perspective, if you're going to approach it as the entire saga, meaning the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the sequel trilogy, obviously the vast majority of the actors for the sequel and prequel trilogy are still with us. The original trilogy, we're losing more and more every year. Carrie Fisher's gone. A lot of the people who played Darth Vader, Boba Fett, Chewbacca, a lot of those main supporting cast members are gone. So your approach now has to be finding their autographs on the secondary market. So I would
Yeah.
say find a respected group that will steer you the right way, because there are unfortunately a lot of forgeries, even for people like Jeremy Bullock and Peter Mayhew. That's my biggest recommendation. Find a group that is filled with people whose opinion you trust, and usually you're able to find those. Imperial Walker Inc. is a niche group. It focuses on behind the scenes, but if you're interested in behind the scenes, come to us and we'll steer you the right way. But always, just find the experts. Every field has their experts, so find the people that you trust and let them guide you. That's my recommendation.
I like that. I did want to share real quick. I was going to do a screen share because
Yay!
I forgot my damn passcode, but I'm just going to show this. So this is the Facebook group page, guys. Highly recommend checking it out. I love the new logo, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I wanted something that looked like it could be like the logo for a tattoo parlor almost.
Yes, it's like very like metal tattoo parlor ish.
Yes.
It's so cool. I love it. You actually should make these into shirts. I would buy
Thank
one.
you. Thank you. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, check out the page. Do not harass Hector if you become a part of this page. That is one of the biggest rules on there. If you have a question, there's admins on this page that they will help you. Do not bother Hector.
The real reason with the whole "don't bother me" thing is usually the bothering is where's my stuff, and when I'm having to answer your question, I'm not getting your stuff out. And the other reason is, like I said, the social anxiety. I shut down with all the people assaulting me. But other than that, I'm happy to help. I'm not that bad. I have a reputation of being kind of a douche, but I'm not that bad.
Well, I don't think you're a douche.
Thank you, Nilda.
You're
my new best friend. Thank you so much.
Dude, honestly, this was so much fun. I'm so glad that we got to do this because I know eventually one day we're gonna cross paths.
We are.
I'm eventually gonna come to Chicago because that's a place that I've been dying to go to. I've been dying to go to one of the cons. So I know for a fact we're gonna cross paths.
Worlds will collide.
Worlds will collide. But yeah, I'm glad we finally did this. And
thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. This was really cool.
Yeah. I like I said, the page means a lot to me. I love the people that are part of that group. They're extremely nice. You are great. And just to be able to facilitate some of the signatures I've been wanting has been such a huge dream come true. Like, you have no idea. I don't know how much more I can say thank you to you, especially for George and Marsha. I'm trying to figure out a way how I'm going to get both of them framed, because even though they weren't married anymore, their story to me, I think it's so iconic. And I don't know why I want to get them framed together. I'm going to figure it out.
I get it. I mean, Star Wars and Empire particularly, that was them together. So
yeah,
you know, the fractures didn't start until after Empire, and then ended almost when Return of the Jedi was almost complete. So there's an argument to be made that the original trilogy is the story of George and Marsha. So
I have a feeling it is.
I think that's a good idea to frame them together.
Yeah. I wanted to do that with them together. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This was so much fun. Again, like I said, if you want to be part of a really cool Facebook group page and get some of the behind the scenes signatures, definitely check out Imperial Walker Inc. on Facebook. You're definitely not going to be disappointed in anything that is on there. It's so much fun. And one recommendation I will say is make sure your notifications are on.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nilda. Thanks, everybody. This was so much fun.
All right. I'm going to end the stream and then I'll just chit chat with you once we're done.
Awesome.
All right. Let me do my ending. All right, guys. Have a good night and may the force be with you.